If adventure has a name, it's got to be Indiana Jones. Now, what I love about this movie is what? You said we were doing an adventure film today. Well, what's the synopsis of this one if it's not indie? Oh, Romancing the Stone? I just watched that one. I can do that. But it's not? Well, you just gave me that synopsis, though. Well, which one is it? The Lost City? Okay. This is Unedited Reviews, The Lost City. The Lost City stars Sandra Bullock as a romance adventure novelist who feels like the well has pretty much run dry and she really isn't having any more fun with writing the books or on these book tours. And Channing Tatum is her model for the cover of her books. He's the hero, the dashing character of her books, who is actually not all that bright. They end up on this adventure together, trying to find a lost city with great riches. Along the way, they are being chased by Daniel Radcliffe, the villain of this movie, who's after the gold for his own nefarious reasons. Along for the ride, we have many other fun, entertaining characters, among which is Brad Pitt, who is called upon to try and find Sandra Bullock. Now, as an action adventure film, this movie's pretty good. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's got plenty of that comedic action that you want, and Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum really play off each other well. There's a lot of great moments that you're just laughing and you're enjoying yourself, that if you look at the story really hard, it might not be the best story, but you don't care because the characters are just so lovable as they're brought to life by these two fantastic actors. The movie, like I said, is a story that we've seen many times before. It's been called a update or a remake of Romancing the Stone. While I would say it's not Romancing the Stone, this is definitely more of an updated version of that with things definitely altered. There's different ways that things happen. But I had just watched Romancing the Stone shortly before I saw this because I had never seen it before. And I was able to pick out moments in this film where I'm like, okay, that's from Romancing the Stone. Okay, there's that beat from Romancing the Stone, and that beat, and that beat. But I look at this as that's not necessarily a bad thing because you're just going along for the adventure. The ride is good. The characters are fun to be around. Both Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, just like I said, they hit their marks, and they are the reasons that you're along for the ride, and you're enjoying it. Now, I haven't watched any of Sandra Bullock's recent movies, so when I saw that she was in this, I'm like, what was the last movie she was in? It seems like it's been forever. And looking it up, this is a movie that she hasn't been in any really for a while, so it's nice to see her back on the big screen. She's had a Netflix movie, and there was another one that I never heard of. But she shines. She hasn't lost any of her comedic chops. And she definitely humanizes this character as well. And you can see her grow throughout the movie. Grow from this timid, stuck up. Well, she's not exactly stuck up, but she's just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm through. I'm tired of all this. She's not stuck up in the sense of I'm so much better than everybody else. She's just whatever. I don't care about anything. I don't care about anyone. I just want to go do my own thing. But you see her progress from that version of her character who just wants to stay in, doesn't want to go anywhere, is not adventurous, which you learn later on in the movie why that is in there. And she becomes somebody that actually seems to like adventure. She finds a piece of this, let's say, map, but it's a decryptograph thing that will lead her to where the Lost City is. And that slowly gets her more interested in it. She starts to see that she wants to do this. This was something she was always searching for. And she just gets back into the spirit of adventure that she put into her books, except now she's getting to live them. Channing Tatum is great as always. He's very funny in this role. He really is what I would call a dunderhead. He's the stereotypical male model that we all think of when we think of books or movies. You know, definitely not too bright, but just, oh, look at me, I'm so perfect. Let me tear off my shirt, as they actually mention in the film, and just see how handsome I look. That's all that matters. I am perfect in every way. Worship me. But then when Sandra Bullock's character disappears, it forces him to become more than the person he is. And there's another reason for this. You get to learn more about him as the movie progresses. You learn what his original goals were, what his original dreams were, and what led him to the position he's in now. And you get to see the old version of him, I'll say, come back and reassert himself to show that he's not the type of guy that you thought he was. And yes, this is all pretty much been seen before, it's expected, but again, that does not take away from the enjoyment of this film. Then you have Daniel Radcliffe, and I loved him in this movie. I want to see more films where Radcliffe just goes full on bad guy. And what I mean by that is yes, he's the bad guy in this movie, but he starts off just kind of quirky and fun, and he's playing sweet to Sandra Bullock's character, which is good because he's using his head. He's being naive, or not naive, he's being just really smart and cocky, and he knows what he wants. He's just really intelligent, I'll say, though maybe not as intelligent as he thinks. And then slowly, as the film progresses, you get to see a more darker, maniacal, evil side to him, who's willing to do anything he has to reach his ultimate goal. I feel like that's a great part for Radcliffe to play, especially still kind of being stuck in the Harry Potter zone. And that's what people think of when they think of him, not any of his more recent films. And while this is great, and he's great in this part, I want him to go further. I would love to see him play a pure bad guy. Maybe not quite on the level of, say, Voldemort, since we're talking about Harry Potter, but on that level where there really is no redemption and you really don't have any bad feelings for the guy. Because when you hear his story and you hear why he's doing what he's doing, yeah, it's evil. Yeah, you're a terrible person. But after really thinking about it, there's a part of you that's like, well, would I really have done the same thing? I mean, I have all that money, and growing up with those people, would I have not maybe turned out the same way? He's not on screen that much, but when he is, he just chews it up, and I loved every moment that he was on there. And for me, that was really what I would say was the highlight of the film, because he was just that good. I wanted to see more interactions between him and our lead duo, but given the story, given how it's supposed to go, it's understandable that they wouldn't have had as much interaction. The time we did get with him, though, I loved. And then, of course, there's Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt was not needed in this movie. But by the same token, he's in the movie enough that you appreciate him, and he is funny, but he's also doesn't overstay his welcome, which is great. And then we really get to focus on the development, again, of our two leads, and he's just there to push the story along. Though, for me, I did find him kind of annoying, and I just didn't want to see him anymore because he was just a dumb character as far as I was concerned. There are many other characters. You have her publicist, who is just hilarious. She's great. They should have kept her and given her more stuff to do instead of Brad Pitt. That would have been my thoughts. There's all these people that her publicist runs into as she's trying to help Sandra Bullock, which can be amusing. When it comes to the visuals of the film, they're pretty good. I mean, you've got these wide open shots of land and the surroundings and the forests and just the ocean, everything, which makes it feel like it is a classic adventure film. However, there are times where I'm watching and I'm like, okay, I can tell that's a matte painting or that's not really well done rendering for this specific shot. Going back to the story real quick, there is a situation that happens and how they get out of this situation where it's like, okay, I see why you did that. Interesting development for this very, I'll say, third tier character. But it's like, a little over contrived. Getting back to the visuals, it does look, though, like I said, an adventure film with the forest shots, the sea shots, the couple shots you've got of the towns they're in, the small villages, the archaeologist camps. It all works. And it looks pretty good. Again, not the best in the world, but it's good. There's really nothing about this film that takes you out of it. Not the scenery, not the music, which you don't really hear the music or you're not paying attention to it, which that's what it's supposed to do. But when you do hear it, it works. And it has that adventurous beat to it, that upbeat tempo where it's, okay, get excited. We're going on a grand adventure, a grand journey. And it works. It's not the level, I would say, obviously, of the Raiders March. But just like the Raiders March has an impact when it comes in, there's music in this film that has an impact when it comes and you know what to expect, or at least what you're hoping is going to happen. And it usually does. What the story itself, solid. You're into that. I said the characters. Again, they're all good. It's just a fun, entertaining film where clearly there was pretty good production value on it. Not the greatest, but it was there. So, would I recommend going to see The Lost City? I would say yeah. But maybe temper your expectations a little bit. If you're going in expecting the greatest adventure film of all time, again, like I said in the intro, going on the level of an Indiana Jones film, it's not there. But I'm going to say for me, it was kind of on the level of Romancing the Stone because, yes, there's a lot of similarities between the two. I didn't grow up with Romancing the Stone. That wasn't the movie that I'm like, oh my gosh, this movie's great and nothing will ever compare to it. But in the grand scheme of things, this might be a little bit lower than Romancing the Stone. But it's still just a fun time at the theater. You have some laughs, you got great characters, you get to enjoy yourself. Turn off your brain for about 2 hours, I'll say, and just relax. Now, I will say there is a mid-credit scene, but I would also say you can pretty much just leave. Ignore it. Because the mid-credit scene makes, at least to me, absolutely no sense based on what happens in the film. And I'd much rather just pretend that it either never happened or it's just either a what-if scenario or in people's minds. That's all I'm going to say. So, what ranking do I give this movie? I give The Lost City Sidekick because it's fun. It's definitely one that I recommend seeing, but maybe just go for a matinee or when there's a cheaper price. Go on a Saturday. but it's definitely one that I recommend you check out at least once. But what do you think? Have you seen The Lost City? What do you think about the movie? Was it a lot of fun? Was it totally dull? Does it remind you of one of those fun adventure films back in the day? Is it campy? Is it corny? Is it none of the above? Whatever your thoughts about this film are, let me know down in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. So, until our next session or our next review, remember, enjoy what you love, read what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time.